ஆன் பண்ணு.
On the stage it is too high. You all are looking up like this. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radhe Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Sat. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Vishakha ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki Jai, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Dev ki Jai, ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhobhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakhyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargenaya Kalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Premapumartho Mahan. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhormatamidam Tatradara Naparaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Vaneshwari Vrishabhanostute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayet. Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So welcome once again to our Krishna Katha. Yesterday we have been speaking about the Brahma Vimohana Lila, the celebrated pastime of Krishna in Vrindavan, where he bewildered the creator of the universe, Brahma, in a way that was very astonishing, considering for those of you who could not attend the class yesterday, and also to refresh the memory of those who were here yesterday, The Katha, in brief, is that Krishna had killed Aghasura, who was in the form of a serpent. When Krishna was about 5 years old, he was still in the Kaumar stage of life, childhood. And the pastime was revealed to the residents of Vrindavan by the cowherd boys 1 year later. Not just 1 or 2 days later, 1 year later. Normally, the boys with great eagerness and enthusiasm would narrate all the pastimes that had happened on that day in the forest to their family members and other Vrajavasis immediately as they returned to Vrindavan from the forest. But on this occasion, for 1 complete year, they did not say it. So naturally, when Parikshit Maharaj heard this from Shukadev Goswami, he asked the question, why is it that something that happened long ago was narrated to the residents of Vrindavan 1 year later as if it had happened on that day, 1 year later? So Shukadev Goswami is very pleased with the mood, the attentive hearing, and the nature of the questions and the inquisitiveness of Parikshit Maharaj. So he says, this matter is very confidential. This is something that is understandable and should be revealed only to those who are faithful, submissive, and willing to follow. So because you are such a disciple, you are actually a great devotee, you are Bhagavatottama, you are greatly fortunate Mahabhaga, and therefore I shall reveal to you the secret answer to your question. So he says that when Krishna had killed Aghasura, he took the children, his friends, to the bank of the river, to a very scenic spot, very beautiful, where there was soft and clean sand, and there were beautiful trees all around with birds chirping, bees buzzing and humming, and the river Yamuna was pleasant breezes were blowing. So it was the perfect spot for a picnic, and the cowherd boys were already a little tired and hungry. So it was time for a meal. So they sat down there, and all the boys sat in a circle, who sat in the center. And each of them thought that Krishna was looking only at him. In this way, they felt a very personal bond with Krishna. Because Krishna is present in everybody's heart, he can relate to each and every single jiva in a very personal way. One should not think that because there are so many living entities who are serving Krishna, maybe Krishna won't have time for me. Or maybe Krishna won't notice me. After all, I am just an ordinary, insignificant living entity. But that is not the case. Krishna hears the prayers. He understands the heart of every living entity, whether one is a devotee or not. So the cowherd boys were enjoying these pastimes, sitting there with great happiness. And they were exchanging the foodstuffs that had been sent in their baskets by their respective mothers. And they kept feeding each other and themselves. In Krishna also partook of their remnants, and they would play with each other like this and eat and there was a lot of merrymaking and fun and jubilation. So the cowherd boys, one can only imagine in how much ecstatic bliss they were in the company of Krishna. Meanwhile, the calves whom the boys had been grazing had started eating the grass, the succulent green grass that was available nearby, and they were also drinking the delicious, sweet, cool. And as this was going on, and there were many wonderful, pleasant exchanges between the cowherd boys amongst themselves and also Krishna, the calves started wandering into the forest, being allured by the green, succulent grass. So as they wandered in there, the cowherd boys did not initially notice that because they were very busy eating and having fun with each other. But suddenly somebody noticed, oh, where are our cows? They have disappeared. They were here grazing, but now we cannot see them. Where have they gone? So Shukadev Goswami describes what happened. Tan drishtva bhayasantrastan uche krishnasya bhi bhayam. Tan drishtva, tan meaning them, who? Those calves. Drishtan, seeing. So when these boys, cowherd boys, they saw that the calves had actually gone a long distance into the forest, and many of them could not even be seen because they were somewhere behind the trees or in the jungle. Then what happened? Bhaya santrastan. Bhaya means fear. Santrastan means to be seized by or to be gripped by. So all the boys suddenly became gripped with fear. What was the cause of the fear? The first cause was naturally that they were afraid for the well-being of the calves. The calves are only very small, and in the forest sometimes you could have dangerous situations where there could be animals that could come and attack the calves and perhaps even kill them. Or there could be other dangerous situations happening, maybe they fall off a cliff or something happens. So there is always need for supervision. So the first reason for the fear of the cowherd boys was the well-being of the cows. The second reason was that being children, they were always afraid of the scolding they might receive from their parents. The parents had given them the responsibility to look after the calves, and they were grazing them, and now because they were so absorbed in playing and eating with each other, joking with each other, so they had not paid sufficient attention to the calves, and the calves had wandered. So they were thinking, oh, now if something happens to the calves, if the calves are lost or if they are injured, then our parents are going to scold us that we gave you the responsibility to look after the calves because all of you are very eager. You are pressurizing us that you want to graze the cows, and reluctantly we allowed you to do it even though you are very small. But now see what has happened. You are very careless. So they were afraid that the parents would scold them like this. So Bhaya Santrastan. At that time, Uche Krishnaha. At that time, seeing the fearful condition of the cowherd boys, Krishna began to speak. Asya bhi bhayam. Who is Krishna? Krishna is the one who is himself the fearful element of all kinds of fear. So you see, Krishna is the essence of everything. Essence of everything means that whatever exists in this creation ultimately is Krishna's energy. When Krishna speaks about his vibhutis, his different wondrous opulences in the material creation, he mentions how whenever we see something extraordinary or exceptional, we should understand that to be the potency of Krishna. For example, Tejas Tejasvinamaham. When we see some prowess in someone, we should understand the essence of that prowess is coming from Krishna. It is actually that prowess. Buddhir buddhimatam asmi. When we see someone very intelligent, we should understand that buddhi, the essence of that is Krishna. That energy is coming from Krishna. Whenever we see anything extraordinarily beautiful, splendorous, powerful, intelligent, any superlative quality that we see in this world, we should understand that it is a representation of Krishna. And the essence of that represents Krishna. So similarly, when there is fear, so Krishna is the essence of that fear itself. So when Krishna understood that my dear cowherd boys, friends, they are struck with fear, he spoke, what did he speak? Mitrani ashan ma viramate. My dear friends, please give up your fear. There is no fear. Don't give up your eating. Ashan means to eat. So don't give up your enjoyment from eating. Ma viramata. Don't stop your eating. Why? I will take care. Haneshye vatsakan aham. Haneshye means that I will bring back. Iha anyeshe. Aneshye. Iha aneshye. Iha means here. Aneshye means I will bring back. So iha aneshye vatsakan, the calves, aham. So I will personally bring back all the calves. You do not stop your eating. Continue enjoying your delicious foodstuffs that you have got with you. So this is a very remarkable statement and an act by Krishna. You see, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He manages and maintains not only the spiritual world, but also the innumerable material universes, not directly, but through his expansions, the Vishnu Tattva expansions and the variety of other sorts of expansions in various categories, whether Shakti Tattva, Shiva Tattva, Jiva Tattva. So very, very elaborate and intricate arrangement for the management and administration of this universe. But Krishna is aloof from that directly. Krishna actually is more concerned with herding the cows, playing with the gopis, giving happiness to Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda in Goloka Vrindavan. So Krishna's real business is to enjoy pastimes in Vrindavan. Krishna is not much interested in the official work of managing the universes. Just as normally, most of you, I'm sure, who are going to work in offices, you really don't like it. You would rather just be in the temple or at home or go to some devotional gathering or do something else that you like to do. But you have to go for your official work because there is need for money. So you do all these things because there is no choice. So generally people don't like the official work. They like to do things that are dear to them. Of course, the creation of the material world and its management is also part of Krishna's Lila. It is called Srishti Lila. But nevertheless, Krishna's heart is really in Vrindavan, which is his home, where he wants to perform these very sweet, intimate pastimes with his dear associates and devotees. So generally, whenever anything happens here, his associates, his representatives, his energies will take care. Whether it is punishing the miscreant people, giving the reactions to the karmas of different people, maintaining, destroying, creating the universe, all these things are done by his agents. However, when it comes to dealing with devotees, then Krishna changes his formula. No more is Krishna impersonal in the way he deals with the situation. Now he becomes very personal because there is love involved. Just like a parent may love all the children everywhere around, but when it comes to his or her children, they will pay very personal, special attention. So Krishna personally takes charge of the lives of the surrendered, sincere devotees. In the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in the famous verse, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. He says that for those who are constantly thinking about me, Ananyas chintayanto mam. Chintayantaha means a chintan, to always meditate on Krishna, think about him. So for those devotees who are constantly thinking about Krishna, ye janaha paripasate, and those who are constantly engaged in worshipping me and serving me, tesham nitya abhiyuktanam, who are constantly engaged in serving me in various ways, yoga kshemam vahami aham. Yoga means to acquire. Kshema means to protect what one has already acquired. So in life, we have to do these two things, yoga and kshema. All of us are engaged in that from the time of our birth till the time of death. So we need something, let's say I'm hungry, so I'm looking to get some food. So I acquire that food. And I have to make sure that nobody else takes it away. When you are in Vrindavan and you're on the street, you get some prasad, you have to look out for the monkeys. They will not come and snatch it away from you. So also when we earn some money, then we want to protect it. We want to make sure the thieves will not come and steal it. So we protect our money, keep it in banks, keep it in lockers. That is kshema. So in this material world, people are constantly worried about yoga and kshema. The big insurance company in India, their slogan is Yoga Kshema Bhavan. So they promise you that if you take our insurance policy, we will take care of your yoga and your kshema. But the actual yoga kshema is handled by Krishna, and especially for his devotees. Vahami aham, I will personally take care of what you lack and provide it to you, and I will protect what you already have. And when Krishna says Vahami aham, I will personally do it, that is a very significant statement. It means that Krishna is not going to outsource that to somebody else. The word outsourcing is very common now. Everybody in the care of their own children, especially in the West. To nannies, to servants, to creches and to various other such entities. So Krishna says, I will personally take care. He doesn't outsource it. Now this may seem a little doubtful to each of us, but we should have faith. There are many pastimes associated with this verse, but we will not get into that today. In any case, so this is the spirit that Krishna has. Because there is an exchange of deep love between Krishna and the devotees, whenever there is any situation where the devotees need something or are in trouble, then Krishna is there personally to help. It depends on our faith. So therefore, this is another example here, how Krishna personally intervened. You see, he did not say, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, my friends. I have so many energies here. Parasi Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. So the Upanishads declare, my dear friends, that as Supreme Absolute Truth, he has any number of energies, and simply by desiring, all his energies will fulfill his desires. So I am sitting here and the cows will be brought back here. Don't worry. No, Krishna did not say that. In Vrindavan, Krishna does not generally act as the absolute truth. He only acts as a simple, lovable, beautiful cowherd boy. And Srila Prabhupada explains, this is what is the meaning of the word pastime. Actually speaking, Krishna is God. He is the supreme absolute truth. But in Vrindavan, he doesn't like to be the supreme absolute truth. He likes to just behave like a cowherd boy and enjoy pastimes with the cows, with the gopis and the other Vrajavasis. So in this way, Krishna's pastimes here are very special. He says here, Mitrani ashan ma viramate. Oh my friends, don't stop eating. Krishna was very concerned that the enjoyment that the cowherd boys were experiencing should not be interrupted. Krishna wants his devotees to be happy in devotional service. Be assured of that. And Krishna will make sure we are happy in devotional service, provided we follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. And then he says, Iha aneshye vatsakan aham. Iha aneshye, I will personally bring these calves back here. You don't worry, you don't stop your eating. So just see the kind of personal involvement that Krishna has. He himself gets up and tells everyone, you sit and enjoy and eat. Starts wandering everywhere. So what happens? Where does he go? Then he says, Iti uktva, having spoken in this way, Adri Dari Kunja Gahavareshu. He went into all these different places. He went into the hills, he went into the caves, Dari, he went into the kunjas, all the bushes, Gahavareshu, all the narrow lanes between the hills, and all for the sake of the Atma Vatsaka. You see, the Atma Vatsaka is very important. The calves belonging to his friends. So, and to himself. So he went there. Vichinman Bhagavan Krishna Sapani Kavalo Yayo. So his Sapani Kavalaha. Pani means the hand. So if you remember from yesterday, in his left hand, Krishna was carrying rice and yogurt curd and some little pieces of fruit in it. So still holding that, Sapani Kavalo Yayo, he started out. And Vichinvan Bhagavan. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna began to search for his cows, his calves, carrying that curd rice and fruit in his hand, wandering around, where are my calves, where are my calves? So now the question may be asked, who is Trikalagnya, who knows past, present, future, who is Sarvagnya, who knows everything. So how come he is wandering around searching for the calves as if he does not know? This is a very remarkable thing that happened. So is Krishna play acting or no? Is Krishna play acting? What is your opinion? Okay, let me ask you a question. We have just concluded the Kartik month, and we every day sang about the Damodar pastime when Mother Yashoda tied Krishna to the grinding mortar. And Krishna became very fearful and he ran away from Mother Yashoda. And there were tears in his eyes and his body was trembling with fear. Now here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is personified fear, or rather personified fear is afraid of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And here he is afraid of a village lady, running away from her. So was Krishna actually fearful of Mother Yashoda or not? Or was he just play acting, just making a drama? How many of you feel that Krishna was actually afraid? in this pastime? Okay, quite a few. How many of you feel that Krishna was only doing a drama? Because after all, he is God. How many of you feel that he was doing this drama and it was just a drama to make his mother happy? How many feel like that? Okay, so the first party is right. Krishna was actually afraid. This is an arrangement by Krishna's pastime potency, his Lila Shakti, to make his pastimes in Vrindavan more relishable and sweet. If Krishna is simply play acting, he cannot actually experience the true happiness of those pastimes. He has to be actually very deeply involved in those pastimes. He has to enter into the role of that personality, of a cowherd boy, or of a baby, or of a boy, of a child. Many times it happens that when actors play a certain role, let us say in a drama, and it is a role that involves a lot of emotion and everything, so they get so absorbed in that, they identify with the character that they are playing to such a degree that they actually forget themselves. And they actually themselves. Let's say if the character on stage is supposed to get angry about something, and that personality, the actor, is playing that role, and if he is a really good actor, he will try to enter into that character. He will also start experiencing those same emotions of, you will actually get angry. Because it's very hard to act as if you are angry and be very violent and vigorous and so on. So a good actor will actually experience that. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada also explains that these are wonderful pastimes that Krishna is doing. It's an excellent dramatic performance that is being exhibited on the platform of Vrindavan. Not only here, but also in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna is only a cowherd boy. He is not the Supreme Lord. He doesn't act like the Supreme Lord. So in any case, Krishna was actually fearful, and that intensifies and sweetens the Vatsalya Ras, the exchange of love between his parents and himself. Krishna relishes it, Mother Yashoda relishes it, Nanda Maharaj relishes it, and so do all the other Vrajavasis. So in this way, Krishna actually enters into that role. That is why, as I said earlier, Srila Prabhupada says, when Krishna thinks himself to be a cowherd boy, that is his pastime. So thinks himself means that he actually enters into that emotionally also. He is totally consumed by that identity. He is totally a cowherd boy. And when he does his Bhauma Lila, when Krishna descends into this material world, bringing Vrindavan with him, and when he enacts those pastimes here, at that time occasionally he may exhibit his Aishwarya, his opulence, his strength, his godhood, his Bhagavatta. Like when he lifted Govardhan hill, he has exhibited his opulence. Or when he kills the Asuras. Because normally a 5-year-old boy, 3-year-old boy is exhibiting that occasionally. But generally, he is totally absorbed in the mood of a cowherd boy. So here also, Krishna, he understands and yet doesn't understand. Okay, so that we will also see this being explained by Shukadev Goswami here. So, he goes away and he's actually thinking, where are my calves? Where are my calves? Oh, my dear friends will be so anxious if the calves don't come back. So I should make them happy and keep them free from anxiety. So he wanders here and there in the hills, in the caves, and the bushes to search for the calves. So this is such an amazing pastime. See how much Krishna is willing to do personally to relieve his devotees of anxiety and to ensure that they are always absorbed in the transcendental bliss of devotional service. So then Shukadev Goswami explains in the next verse, beginning by describing Brahma as Ambho Janma Janihi. Ambho Janma Janihi refers to Brahma, who is born of an Ambhoja, which means a lotus. Now it so happened that Brahma, who had already been astonished by seeing the pastime of Krishna killing a gigantic demon in the form of a snake, Aghasura, now was doubly astonished by seeing this display of what he thought was frivolity, being very frivolous, and such familiarity and intimacy and ordinary behavior. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, God Himself, is playing like a frivolous, mischievous, naughty child. It is something very difficult for him to accommodate in his intelligence. You see, so he was just thinking, what is going on? Is this God? Is it not God? I think he is God, so let me test him. Let me actually find out, and I will put him to the test. So when I put him to the test, then he will show his opulences. And when he shows his opulences, it will be so glorious. It will be so wonderful. We will all be able to relish it. I will also be happy seeing all this, and the whole world will be happy. At the same time, Brahma also had the feeling, let me also display my opulences to test Krishna. Remember, in the universe, there is nobody who has more opulences than Brahma among all the living entities here. But Brahma wanted to test his prowess in relation to Krishna, and now he would learn the lesson of his lifetime. Just like Indra learned such a lesson in the Govardhan Lila, Brahma, of course, did not have such a negative attitude as Indra had at the time of the Govardhan Lila. So then, Brahma, who wanted to test Krishna to see Krishna's own power, and he wanted Krishna to display his godhood, and he also wanted to display his own power. And therefore, he did something very extraordinary. He stole the calves and the cowherd boys and hid them at some secret location in Vraj. And in so doing, Shukadev Goswami explains that he became entangled. Tad antaragataha. And he became entangled in the Maya of Krishna. Now he was stuck. Now he would have to see, Krishna would have to display his marvelous energies, his potencies. And Brahma was shortly to become very bewildered. Brahma was thinking, I am very powerful, I have all these yogic powers. But little did he know what was yet to come, what was going to happen very soon. So in this way, he became entangled, and very soon he would see what would happen. Now, there is one very interesting thing that happened here when Brahma stole the cowherd boys and the calves. And please listen to this one sentence or two sentences with great attention. And in case you are sleeping, you can wake up to hear these two sentences, and then you can go back to sleep if you wish. So these two sentences are, first, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport over here that the cowherd boys and the calves that Brahma stole were not the original calves and cowherd boys. They were Maya Arbhakaha. Arbhaka means a boy in Sanskrit. Maya means made out of Maya, illusory forms. So the forms of the calves and the cowherd boys that Brahma stole, he did steal. He did take away the cowherd boys and the calves, but not the original ones. he took illusory forms of the calves and the cowherd boys and he hid them at some place. Srila Prabhupada explains this with another instance. Of course, although Brahma is a devotee, he is an acharya, so he is not to be compared with Ravana, but because of Krishna's pastimes, so then Krishna also displayed a very tiny fragment of his prowess. And the example that Srila Prabhupada gives is when Ravana kidnapped Mother Sita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that is a beautiful pastime that is found there, that actually Ravan had no jurisdiction, no power to even touch or even come near Mother Sita, who is directly the consort of the Supreme Lord. She is the spiritual energy personified. So there is no way a demon like Ravana can even come near her, what to speak of touch her and kidnap her. So the Sita that Ravana kidnapped was Maya Sita. She was illusory Sita. The real Sita remained with Agni Dev, with the fire god. And when Krishna rescued Sita from Lanka and brought that Maya Sita back, then the real Sita emerged in the Agni Pariksha, the fire test. So that is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita very nicely by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here also a similar thing happened, although as I said, we should not compare Brahma and Ravana. But the idea that if you try to interfere in Krishna's pastimes, then Krishna will teach a lesson. So Brahma was trying to interfere. Krishna's pastimes were going on happily. What was the need to poke? What was the need to interfere? So Krishna displayed something and taught a nice lesson. At the same time, from another point of view, we can also see this not as an interference in Krishna's pastimes, but as an opportunity for Krishna to display something even more wonderful, where Brahma became aware of what really Vrindavan is and what Krishna in Vrindavan is and what the mood and the devotion of the Vrajavasis is. So this was an opportunity. So one could say that this was Krishna's arrangement. Because after all, Brahma, this is not the first day of Brahma in which this pastime happened. This kind of pastime happens every time Krishna appears here. And in Brahma's lifetime, it has happened on innumerable occasions. So it is not that we forget everything that happened yesterday, day before, the 2 days before, 3 days before. We remember so many important things. So we may wonder, yesterday the question was also asked that how did Brahma forget? Well, that is the nature of the material world. Even if one is Brahma, one tends to forget. And because it is a person as exalted as Brahma, and because the pastime is connected to Vrindavan, therefore this extraordinary thing happened, where Brahma is put in a confusion, in a quandary. Is this Hari? Is this not Hari? If he is Hari, why is he behaving in this frivolous way, eating curd rice and so on? So in any case, the cowherd boys and calves who were kidnapped by Brahma were actually illusory in nature. And we are going to see something extraordinary happening. Now Krishna is still playing like a cowherd boy. So Shikadev Goswami says that Krishna wandered and wandered. Tato vatsan adrishtvaitya puline picha vatsapan. Tataha, thereafter, vatsan adrishtva, not seeing the vatsas, all the calves. Even after wandering here and there, what happened? Pulinepi cha vats. He came back to the river bank where the cowherd boys had formerly been sitting, enjoying their picnic. But when he came back, what did he see? he was unable to see the cowherd boys also. He went looking for the calves which had gone missing. He searched everywhere, could not find them. Then he came back to the place where he was originally, where the cowherd boys were sitting, and now he could not even find the cowherd boys. So the calves had disappeared, the cowherd boys had disappeared, and Krishna is playing like a 5-year-old boy. What has happened? Where have my friends gone? Where have my calves gone? So he was looking here and there as if he was bewildered, and his Lila Shakti was also acting in such a way that he was. But then, even in the midst of such sweet pastimes, occasionally as per the need of the Lila, Krishna's Jnana Shakti also manifests. His identity as God, all-knowing, also comes up once in a while to nourish and sweeten and extend those pastimes. So Krishna then realized what had happened. So Shukadev Goswami says, when Krishna was unable to find the calves and their caretakers, the cowherd boys, anywhere in the forest, he could suddenly understand that this was the work of Lord Brahma. Sarvam Vidhi Kritam. Vidhi is another name of Brahma. So Krishna Sahasa Avajagama Avajagama. So Krishna could immediately understand that Sarvam Vidhi Kritam. That all this disappearance of the cows and the cowherd boys, Kritam has been done by Vidhi or Brahma. So even though Krishna is Vishvavit, as an innocent child, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport here, he showed ignorance of Brahma's actions, although he could immediately understand that these were the doings of Brahma. And this pastime is called the Brahma Vimohana, the bewilderment of Brahma. Thereafter, Shukadev Goswami explains, Tataha Krishno mudam kartum tan matrinam cha kasya cha. Just to create pleasure both for Brahma and for the mothers of the calves and the cowherd boys, he did something very, very marvelous, something extraordinary, something very astonishing. He, the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, expanded himself as all the calves and the boys. Very easy. So when he saw that they have disappeared, he said, no problem. And he expanded himself to become each and every single calf and each and every single cowherd boy. And it was not some poor imitation. It was an exact duplicate. And Shukadev Goswami explains in the next verse, by his Vasudeva feature, Krishna simultaneously expanded himself into the exact number of missing cowherd boys and calves. And please note this, with their exact bodily features, their particular types of hands, legs and other limbs, their sticks, bugles and flutes, their lunch bags, their particular type of dress and ornaments, ages and forms, and their special activities and characteristics. So his expanding into all these was such a perfect duplicate that these forms were indistinguishable from the original forms. Normally, when someone impersonates or imitates somebody else, there is always something in that imitation which is not perfectly correct. Right? You may dress as somebody else, but some aspect of your speech or your behavior, your mannerisms, your clothing, something will show that you are not the original. But when Krishna expanded himself, his imitation was so perfect, 100% perfect, that these boys and calves were not at all distinguishable from the original. Remarkable And this is because nothing is difficult for Krishna. For Krishna, everything is just play. Krishna is the source of everything. He is all powerful. He has achintya shakti, inconceivable strength. And then Shukadev Goswami explains, he had all the calves and cowherd boys, who were all himself. And together with them, he once again entered into Vrindavan. They were earlier in the forest. So now they entered into the Vrindavan forest, as they would do. Calves, evening they would come back. So as on every day, these cowherd boys and calves, who were now directly Krishna, accompanied the original Krishna into Vrindavan. And Nanda Maharaj and others were there. And when he had divided himself in this way, upon entering Vraja or Vrindavan, each of the calves went back to their respective cowsheds. They knew which cowshed to go. They knew who is their mother. And the cowherd boys also went back to their respective homes, because Krishna, whether the mother is a cow or a gopi. So each of these calves and cowherd boys went back to their respective homes. And the mothers of the boys, Shukadev Goswami describes now something very astonishing and peculiar that happens here. The mothers of the boys, as it is they loved their boys very much, all mothers love their children very much, but in this case, they suddenly developed an extra love for their boys, which they did not normally experience. So anyway, hearing the sounds of the flutes and bugles played by their sons as they returned to Vrindavan, jubilantly the boys were playing as they usually did. As you know, when children play, they really make a racket, right? They make so much noise, halla bulla, they keep shouting. So the boys were coming back. There was a tumultuous sound of all the bugles and horns and everything. So they immediately rose. They embraced their little boys, took them onto their laps, and then began to feed them. And in this case, they were experiencing excessive love. But at this time, they were not able to understand why it is that they were feeling this extra love. And this secret is also revealed here. So in any case, I'll come to that in a second. But Shukadev Goswami says that as the boys were looked after by their mother, the mothers massaged the boys with oil, they bathed them, smeared their bodies with sandalwood pulp, decorated them with ornaments, chanted protective mantras, and then decorated the bodies with tilak, and they gave them food personally. So in this way, the mothers of the cowherd boys served who they thought were their sons, but it was actually directly Krishna. So they were directly doing this service personally to Krishna. Similarly, the cows also entered their sheds, and the calves returned. Calves who were now Krishna, they returned to those sheds, and they also rushed to their cows, their mothers. And the cows began licking the calves' body and began feeding them milk. As I mentioned briefly yesterday, this group of calves that had gone out with Krishna had graduated from drinking milk of their mother to eating grass. And there were a younger set of calves who were now drinking milk from their mothers. But these older calves, they were still. So these calves now again started drinking milk from their mother. The cows went and fed them. And this was also an extraordinary sight. Now Shukadev Goswami he says here, that previously, from the very beginning, the gopis had the older gopis, had a lot of maternal affection for Krishna. And they had affection for their own sons also. However, they had more affection for Krishna than they had even for their own sons. This is one of the special features of Vrindavan. Normally, as I said earlier, mothers will like all children, but they will love their own child more than anyone else. But in Krishna, in Vrindavan, it is not like that. In Vrindavan, the cowherd boys and the cows, their mothers loved Krishna more than they loved their own children. Very remarkable. This goes to show why Vrindavan is such a special place, why it is considered so exalted. The distinction disappeared. On every other day till today, the gopis and the older cows, they were experiencing great affection for their children, but not as much as they did for Krishna. Of love. The distinction between the love they felt for Krishna and their own children disappeared. Now they were feeling equal love. And they could not understand this. But they were happy anyway, our children have come back. So they were wondering, how is it that we are loving our children as much as we are loving Krishna? This was a great mystery. So this went on for some time. And each day this continued on and on and on. Just imagine the fortune of not only the older gopis of Vrindavan, but also the cows. They directly became the mothers of Krishna. Earlier, they just were assistants to Mother Yashoda, or they wanted to serve Krishna like Mother Yashoda. They also loved Krishna in Vatsalya Ras. But here, Krishna fulfilled their desire to have him as their son. And so Brahma Vimohana Lila, like all of Krishna's pastimes, they fulfill many objectives. Each pastime makes many devotees happy. So in fulfilling one major objective, Krishna fulfills many other objectives and the desires for the spirit. This was such an extraordinary thing that went on. And imagine this good fortune that the cows and the gopis experienced went on for almost 1 complete year. So for 1 year, the gopis and the cows had this fortune of having Krishna as their direct child. They did not know it, but they were in ecstatic bliss because they were directly serving Krishna in this way. However, just a few days, 5 or 6 days before 1 year elapsed, some other extraordinary incident happened. And that was an incident on top of Govardhan Hill. By the way, should we take a little break? Are you all feeling a little tired? You want to just drink some water, walk for some time and come back? Or you're okay to sit? How many need a 5-minute break? Please raise your hand. Okay, 5-minute break. But don't be like the cows. Wander away searching for succulent grass elsewhere. You come back in 5 minutes. I am not like Krishna who can go searching for you. So we will take a little break. So please come back in exactly 5 minutes. What is the time here? Is there a clock?
It's 12:23, it's 12:29.
Yes. So please come back exactly on the dot in 5 minutes. Sariya? Hare Krishna. Those of you who are feeling sleepy can also put some water on your eyes, wake up a little bit and come. Question? You can ask later. You can ask in the question time. Okay?
For the first time, but I'm following you for many years. And your clarity of thought, what you give in your lecture, it's so nice because whenever I have to give a lecture, I hear your lecture and I copy that. So I really wanted to meet you, and I'm very fortunate that you have come here. We are so bad, we don't even go to lecture. When you come, we try and meet you in one session.
You are living in Chennai. So all the best. Continue the devotional service. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Become nice devotee of Krishna. Okay? Become like the devotees of Vrindavan. Yes? Hare Krishna. আমার স্বাস্থ্য ভালোই আছে। কেমন আছে? ভালো। Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Grazing. Have all the calves returned? Or some have gone looking for some grass elsewhere? Okay, so shall we start? So just before the break, I was mentioning that this continued for almost 1 complete year. Krishna continued to remain in the form of the missing calves and the cowherd boys, and their respective mothers got the opportunity to actually serve them personally for this extended period of time, and therefore Krishna fulfilled their desires to have Krishna as their child. Now, when it was all extraordinary thing happened, which was noted by Balaram. Now, an interesting point to note is that on the day when Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys, Balaram had not gone with Krishna and the cowherd boys for grazing. He was at home. He had not gone. So he did not know about this incident. And Brahma and Krishna's Yogamaya potency, his Lila Shakti, had covered things in such a wonderful way that even Balaram did not know of what had happened. And Balaram was also noticing that the calves and the cowherd boys, they are all identical, but the way their mothers are loving them, there is something different here. He was not able to put his finger on it, despite himself being the Supreme Lord. Balaram is directly Krishna, but even he could not figure out what exactly was wrong or right, what was happening. So when one day the cows were pasturing on top of Govardhan hill, of course that was done in those days by the Brajabasis. But today, for us as devotees, we should never set foot on Govardhan. It's a very important point to note. Even when we circumambulate Govardhan, do parikrama, we should make sure that we do it from a distance. There are designated paths for the parikrama. We should only stick to that and not go inside and place our foot on Govardhan hill. But in Krishna's time, Krishna, the cowherd boys, the calves would all go on top of Govardhan. So the calves, or the cows rather, were grazing there, and they were being escorted by the grown-up gopas, not by the cowherd boys. The cowherd boys with the calves and with Krishna, they were elsewhere below. But the cowherd men and the grown-up cows were on top of Govardhan hill. Generally, the calves and so also in this case. So when these cows were up on Govardhan hill and they suddenly saw the calves below, something happened. And normally what happened is that they would see their calves even for this 1 year, only after the calves came back from the pasturing ground. But on this occasion, somehow there was some proximity and they saw the calves from the top of Govardhan hill. And because of increased affection that they felt all of a sudden when they saw their own offspring there, they began to rush down the slopes. It was not an easy slope. At certain areas, the slope was quite steep. Secondly, there were a lot of obstacles like rocks and other things there. But despite all that, the cows, who were quite heavily built, they started racing down Govardhan Hill at great speed. So much so that Shukadev Goswami says, not 4 legs. So they were really running fast, and the milk bags were flowing with milk. Their heads and tails were raised, and their humps were moving with their necks as they ran forcefully until they reached their calves to feed them. Now, these cows had given birth to new calves. But when the cows came down, they allowed these older calves to also drink milk from their milk bags, and they began licking their bodies with great affection. You see, animals like cows, dogs, cats, and so on, they express emotion or their love by licking. So the cows also, they began to lick their calf's body. Now meanwhile, the cowherd men, the gopas, who were looking after the cows on top of Govardhan Hill for that period, they became very flustered and ashamed. A cowherd man will pride himself in being able to control and look after the cows and bulls. And if some cow cannot be controlled and does things beyond his order, then he feels very upset, because that is a taint on his capacity as a cowherder. So all the grown-up cowherd men, the gopas, they did not know what to do. They tried to restrain the cows from jumping and running down, but the cows could not be restrained. They were too forceful and too strong. So they rushed down, and the cowherd men could only look on in astonishment and frustration. How come these cows are running down so fast like this? And they're not even obeying our orders. So somehow or the other, they also came down the rough road with great difficulty. They could not jump and run like the cows. They experienced some difficulty, but somehow or other they came down. And when they saw their own sons, the cowherd boys, remember, they were also Krishna. The cows and cowherd boys were still Krishna. So when the cowherd men, they suddenly saw their own boys, their sons, their hearts also became overwhelmed with affection, and they ran to their boys. Their hearts overflowed with the mellow of paternal love, parental love. And they embraced them, and they started smelling their heads. And with great difficulty, somehow or the other, they separated themselves from their offspring, both the cows and the cowherd men, and they returned to the forest to graze the cows. But as soon as the cowherd men remembered their sons, their eyes filled with tears. So now, when Balaram was watching all this, and he was thinking, something is going on here. What is happening here? Something is not quite the same. And then he began to consider. He began to think. What has happened? Kim etat adbhutam iva vasudeve khilatmani. Adbhutam iva kim etat. What is this adbhut, this extraordinary and wonderful event or phenomenon that has happened over here? Vrajasya satmanastokeshu apurvam prema vardhate. The affection of all the inhabitants of Vraja, including me, towards these boys and calves is increasing as never before, just like our affection for Krishna, the super soul of all living entities. So now it has clicked to Balaram. This is what has happened. that all the cowherd boys and these calves are actually Krishna. Otherwise, it is not possible that all the Vrajavasis, including myself, could have this increased and ever-increasing affection for the cows and the cowherd boys. Keyam, Ka-iyam, meaning whose mystic power is this? Vakuta ayata. And where has this mystic power come from? Daivi va nari utasuri. Is it some demigoddess or some other woman, or is it some female demoness? Because they remembered Putana and all of that, but here is it some positive deity that has come in like this in female form? So she must be the illusory energy of my master. Prayo mayastu me bhartu nanya me pi vimohini. It must be Krishna's special energy, because even me, that is not possible. So Balaram was extremely astonished, and now he came to the conclusion. He was able to see with the eye of transcendental knowledge. Shukadev Goswami says that all these calves and Krishna's friends were actually expansions of Krishna. Then Baladev said, now it is time to take the bull by the horns and to address the issue frankly with his brother. So he went up to Krishna and he says, "O Supreme Controller, these boys are not great demigods as I previously thought, nor are these calves great sages like Narada. Now I can see that these calves and the cowherd boys are you directly expanding yourself." In other words, previously Balaram used to think that these sages have manifested in this life because of their austerities of previous lives in order to serve Krishna. They have got a chance to be Krishna's associates in Vrindavan. But now, in this particular example, Balaram says, I understood that this is not the case, that at least for the last 1 year situation, that you have personally expanded yourself. Because that was the birthday of Balaram last year, when Balaram had not come into the forest, when this happened. So had it been exactly 1 year, Balaram again would not have been there. But it was therefore 5 or 6 days before 1 year elapsed. So Balaram was present. And at this time the whole mystery was revealed to him. Meanwhile, as almost 1 year had passed on earth, passed in Brahmaloka. So Brahma wanted to see the fun. Let me see what has happened here. So he had gone back on his Hansa Vahana, on his swan vehicle. And he went there thinking, now I have exhibited my divine energies, my mystic powers, and I have hidden the calves and the cowherd boys. Now let us see what the fun will be down there. Let us see how Krishna will have got bewildered, thinking, where are my friends, where are my cows, what will be happening there? So he was thinking perhaps there will be some commotion, because they will all be confused about what happened to the calves and the cowherd boys. So after one moment of Brahma's time, he returned there. And when he came back, he was thoroughly surprised to see that all the cowherd boys and the calves were exactly doing the things that they were doing when he came about a year ago. And he could not understand this. He said, let me check if somehow the other Krishna came to know where I had hidden these calves and the cowherd boys. So he went to that location. Probably he had kept them in a cave, and he moved the stone or whatever it is he had kept to block. They were sleeping under the mystic slumber of Brahma's potency. So when he went there, he saw that the cowherd boys and the calves were still there. So he rushed back to where he was seeing the calves and the cowherd boys. They were also there. So he was thinking, which are the real cowherd boys? Which are the real cows? And there's another set over there. So now we have two sets of cowherd boys and calves. And Brahma was thinking, he went here, then he went there, he went back there, he came here, and he was thinking, what has happened? And Brahma's four heads began to spin. And he was thinking, what has happened? I cannot understand this. A similar number of boys and calves have been playing with Krishna for 1 whole year. Yet they are different from the ones illusioned by my potency. Who are they? Where did they come from? Thus, Shukadev Goswami says, Brahma, thinking and thinking for a long time, tried to distinguish between those two sets of boys who were each separately existing. He tried to understand who was real and who was not real, but he could not understand. In this way, Brahma was bewildered. Vimohana. Therefore, this pastime is called Brahma Vimohana Lila. So Shukadev Goswami says, Chiram Dhyatva. Chiram means for a long time. He was thinking, trying to figure out what has happened, but he was not able to understand. So just see the lesson. Because Brahma wanted to mystify the all-pervading Lord, who can never be mystified, but who on the contrary mystifies the entire universe. He himself was put into bewilderment by his own mystic power. Just as if somebody tries to employ some energy, there's something called a boomerang. You throw it at somebody, it comes back to you again. So if you employ these so-called mystic potencies, or you want to even harm any exalted personality, that will come back and harm us ourselves. So one must be very cautious in how one deals with devotees and with any other people in particular. So therefore, Brahma, who wanted to bewilder the residents of Vrindavan, to bewilder Krishna, and at least bewilder the cowherd boys, realized that actually the joke was on him. He had tried to bewilder everybody else, but in the end, it happened that he himself was bewildered. Shukadev Goswami says that there are glowworms. You know what is a glowworm? In the night time they glow. Yes? And when they are on trees, in a particular season they come. And when they sit on a tree, then they shine bright, and it's a very captivating sight. Looks very beautiful. So they look very attractive, but only so long as it is night. When the sun rises in the morning, then no one can even notice the very insignificant illumination that is offered by these glowworms. So in the same way, now when somebody on earth may have some little opulence, it seems to be very attractive and noteworthy in comparison to what other human beings have. So we all start praising them. But when you compare it to the opulence of Krishna, what is it? Insignificant. When this is the case even with Brahma, the creator of the universe, what to speak of us ordinary earthlings who are living here, whose potencies and opulences are very, very negligible in comparison to that of Brahma. So even Brahma is like a glowworm in front of the Surya-like, the sun-like Krishna. So in this way, one Shukadev Goswami says, the mystic power of an inferior person who tries to use it against a person of great power is unable to accomplish anything. Instead, the power of that inferior person is diminished. And this is exactly what happened. And then while Brahma looked on, all the calves and boys tending them immediately appeared to have the complexions of bluish rain clouds and to be dressed in yellow silken garments. So what Krishna did now, he wanted to pile on the bewilderment on Brahma. Brahma was already sufficiently bewildered. Now Krishna bewildered him more. What did he do? Brahma was seeing the calves and the cowherd boys in front of him. The calves and cowherd boys, he told they were in that cave or wherever he had placed them. But as he was looking on to these calves and cowherd boys, each of them transformed into a four-handed Vishnu form, each wearing a golden colored dhoti with the typical ornaments of Vishnu like the Kaustuba jewel, the Srivatsa mark. They had the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, etc. in their arms. They had bluish complexion. They had lotus petal eyes. So they were all identical and they were the Supreme Lord themselves. Shukadev Goswami has described their appearance and their clothing and ornaments. And every part of their bodies from the top of their heads to their toes was decorated with fresh, tender garlands of tulsi leaves offered by devotees engaged in worshipping the Lord. So these Vishnu forms were all gently smiling and they were gazing upon Brahma. Maybe it is my speculation, but maybe Brahmaji's mouth also must have opened. He was looking, what is this I am seeing? And he saw Brahma, these long glances of the reddish eyes. And this time, Brahma could understand what was happening. And all the other pastimes, all the other associates of the Lord had also appeared there around these forms, and they were chanting and dancing, reciting prayers and serving these Vishnu forms. And Brahma was seeing all this. Everything in the creation, including the personified 24 elements were there, the demigods were there, the Kala, time factor, and everything else also appeared there very miraculously. And in this way, Brahma was seeing the Supreme Lord. And just then, all of a sudden, Brahma became silent, just like a child's clay doll in the presence of the village deity. His senses were so stunned, he did not know what to think. He did not quite understand what was going on. He is the goddess of learning, of education, and the goddess of speech. So one who is very eloquent is said to have been blessed by Mother Saraswati. Now Brahma is certainly very eloquent. He is, after all, the husband of Goddess Saraswati. But in this case, even he was tongue-tied, spellbound. He could not understand what was going on. And he says, what is this? He thought. And he was not even able to see. And then Krishna felt pity on Brahma. And he removed the curtain of Yogamaya. And Brahma's external consciousness was then revived. And he stood up, just like a dead man coming to life, Shukadev Goswami says. Opening his eyes with great difficulty, he saw the universe along with himself. And then looking in all directions, Brahma saw the beautiful forest of Vrindavan filled with trees. And he was able to understand the glory of Vrindavan by Krishna's mercy. The Vrindavan trees, the Vrindavan birds, the Vrindavan grass, water, air, everything is transcendental. Srila Prabhupada explains, in Vrindavan everything is Chinmaya, everything is conscious, everything and everyone is a person and is a devotee of Krishna. And Brahma was able to visualize all this. There is no enmity there is no hostility in the holy land of Vrindavan. And then Brahma saw the supreme absolute truth, one without a second, who possesses full knowledge, assuming the role of a child in a family of cowherd men, standing all alone. In his left palm, he was still holding the curd rice and the fruit, and he was searching here and there, here and there. And Brahma, you can imagine what is his feeling, what he's thinking. Drishtva tvarena nija dhoranato vatirya. After seeing this, Brahma hastily got down from his swan vehicle. He fell down like a golden rod, dandavat, and he touched Lord Krishna's lotus feet with the feet of Krishna with the tears of his joy. Brahma's curiosity, his little bit of pride, his astonishment was now covered into the joy of devotion. This is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. When the non-devotees were exposed to the display of Krishna's opulences, their enmity and hostility only increased. But when Brahma saw this display, his heart became overwhelmed with devotion. Even Indra, when he realized his mistake, then he came to beg forgiveness from Krishna, and he brought Surabhi with him. So rising and falling again and again at Krishna's lotus feet for a long time, Brahma remembered over and over the greatness of Krishna. Then rising very gradually, wiping his two eyes, Brahma looked at Mukunda, Krishna, and his head bent low, his mind concentrated, his body trembling with great humility and with faltering words. Brahma, the creator of the universe, began offering prayers. Now, with this, the 13th chapter now begins. So the Brahma Vimohana Lila essentially has two chapters, the 10th canto, 13th and 14th. So we won't discuss the prayers in detail because it's too long, although each verse of these prayers is philosophically and devotionally very, very instructive. And I would definitely urge all of you to please read this chapter. If you like, you can read the whole pastime of the 13th and 14th chapters to refresh your and it will give you great happiness. So Brahma offered these prayers, and these prayers are very famous in the devotee community. And some of these prayers have been recited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our acharyas frequently. Srila Prabhupada also cited many verses from Brahma's teachings frequently from this particular set of prayers. So in any case, we won't go into that now. So Brahma then began his prayers. There are many verses in this prayers. So after he had offered prayers, he just chanted one prayer, which I had also mentioned when I had gone to that center. What is the place? Perambur. When I had gone to Perambur also, I cited this particular verse because that was the context there. Jananta eva janantu kim bahuktya na me prabho manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tava gochara. So, after having glorified Krishna substantially with his heart and praised the glory of devotional service, he is saying, my dear Lord, there are some foolish people who think that they know you. But actually, let them say like that. Let them think like this. But as far as I am concerned, I understand that with my body, with you, your existence, your name, form, pastimes, abode, personality, everything is far beyond the reach of my body, mind and words. And Brahma is not an ordinary soul. If for Brahma it is like this, we can imagine what is our condition. And still we have people who actually say, even today, I know Krishna, I know Bhagavad Gita, I know Bhagavatam. No, we cannot know. We will know only a very little bit, just an atomic fraction. Krishna may reveal himself to us depending on the depth of our devotion and the humility of our heart. And then he says, my dear Krishna, Anujanihi Mam Krishna Sarvam Tvam Vedsi Sarvatrik. Anujanihi, please let me depart now. Please give me permission to go, O Krishna. You are the knower and seer of all things. Indeed, you are the Lord of all the universes, and yet I offer this one universe to you. Jagat etad tava arpitam. Because Brahma is in charge of this universe. He can't offer somebody else's universe, no? He has to offer his own universe. Just like when we offer to give it to Krishna for his service, or we have some food, or we have any other gift to Krishna, we don't take somebody else's money and say, Krishna, here, this is for you. That is for that person to offer, because that doesn't belong to us. So we don't have a right to offer something that belongs to somebody else without their permission, to take it and then offer to Krishna. So Brahma is saying, this universe is what I have. This is something that I'm overseeing. The responsibility is something you have given me. So I offer this one universe to you. Jagat etat tava arpitam. And then he goes on to say, my dear Krishna, you bestow happiness upon the lotus-like Vishnu dynasty and expand the great oceans of the earth, the demigods, the brahmanas and the cows. In this way, Brahma offered his final prayer and departed from there, after circumambulating Krishna 3 times. He bowed down again, and then he left for Brahmaloka on his swan. Shukadev Goswami continues and says that after Brahma left, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took the calves who were still where they had been a year earlier and brought them to the river bank where he had been before. When Brahma actually came here and he saw Krishna after having seen the exhibition of the 400 forms of Vishnu, the Krishna that appeared before him now was the same cowherd boy who he had seen 1 year earlier, holding the curd rice and the fruit in his left hand. And Srila Prabhupada explains that this Krishna that Brahma was seeing was practically ignoring Brahma. Krishna was more interested in searching for his calves and looking for his friends. Where are my calves? Where are my friends? Because in that Lila, he was playing a cowherd boy. So he was thinking, who is this big man who has come with 4 heads? I don't know, golden complexion person. So where are my friends? Yes? Suppose some children are playing, okay, in a group, but they're very engrossed in playing. And suppose even some president or prime minister or king comes, they will be least bothered. They don't know who the king is, what is prime minister, what is president. They don't know. So they're just engaged in playing. For them, that is the most important thing. So similarly, Krishna playing the role of a cowherd boy is not concerned that the creator of the universe has come. He relishes the pastimes of Vrindavan with the Brajavasis more than he does with his dealings with the big material representatives like Brahma and all that in the material universe. So the extraordinary thing that we read here is that those cowherd boys and calves who had been sitting there when Krishna left, Krishna returned to those set of cowherd boys and calves. So please note, we are talking of 3 sets of calves and cowherd boys. Can anyone tell me now which are the 3 sets of calves and cowherd boys? Can you raise your hand and say? We are talking in this pastime of 3 sets of the same cowherd boys and calves. Yes. Yes. The original calves and cowherd boys. The Maya Arbakas, or the Maya illusory forms of the calves and cowherd boys. And the third were the expansions of Krishna, that he expanded himself to become these boys. Very nice. So, so there are 3 sets now. Astonishing pastime. So now there's a question that will arise. What question arises? Where were the originals? Because Brahma's illusory boys and cows were in wherever he had kept them, in the cave or wherever it was. The display of the Vishnu forms, they were going and coming to Vraja every day, going for grazing, going back to the village. And finally, this third set of original cowherd boys, if they were where they were, and Brahma stole the illusory cowherd boys, then where were they? And how come nobody noticed them? And what were they doing for 1 whole year? No food, no nothing, just sitting there in the forest. So, Shukadev Goswami and Srila Prabhupada explain here that according to Sanatana Goswami, Prabhupada says, the calves and the boys remained in the forest and on the river bank respectively for 1 full year. Exactly at the same places where they were earlier. The boys were sitting on the bank enjoying their feast, and the calves were nearby somewhere in the forest grazing. And 1 year later, when Krishna came back again with the curd rice in his left hand, looking, where are my friends, where are my friends? They were exactly at the same space for 1 whole year. So Brahma had taken away the illusory forms. Now, what happened to the original cowherd boys and calves? Sanatana Goswami says that by the Lord's omnipotent illusory energy, the spiritual energy, the gopis and other residents in the forest, the older gopas used to come, the gopis may sometimes wander in the forest. By Krishna's Yogamaya potency, they did not notice. So the illusory potency, Yogamaya of Krishna, covered their eyes in such a way that they could not see the cowherd boys sitting there enjoying their picnic, and they could not see the calves who were grazing nearby on the succulent grass. And what about the cowherd boys? The cowherd boys also did not notice the passing of time. They did not think that 1 year had passed. For them, only a few moments passed. And they were sitting there still enjoying their meals. And when Krishna came back to them, still with that curd rice in his left hand, they were all amazed and surprised. Why were they surprised? They were not surprised because Krishna took such a long time to come. They were surprised because Krishna took such a short time to come. Krishna, you were away only for a few moments. How did you find the calves in such a short time and you have returned to us? Come, now you sit with us and enjoy the picnic. So the calves, the cowherd boys were blissfully unaware of all that had transpired. Kala Shakti ultimately is the energy of Krishna, and it operates in Vrindavan in a way that we cannot understand and conceive. So these boys did not notice the passing of 1 year. They thought it to be only a few moments. There are many such phenomena regarding time that happen in Krishna's pastimes. For example, it is happened for 1 night here in Vrindavan, actually happened for 1 whole night of Brahma. But that 1 night of Brahma happen in the spiritual realm. They don't happen in the material realm. So here also the cowherd boys, for them, they did not feel any hunger, thirst, sleep, or anxiety. They thought Krishna has gone and he'll come back in a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, he'll be back. But they saw Krishna coming back very quickly, and the calves were also there. So they were relieved that the calves were safe, nothing had happened to them. And they were still in the process of enjoying themselves, eating their food, exchanging jokes and so on. So Krishna, you have come back so quickly. So they did not notice also. So the illusory forms of the cowherd boys and cows, they became unmanifested. So Krishna must have made them disappear. His expansions as Vishnu forms, they would have merged back into Krishna. So they were no longer visible. So of the three sets, the two became not visible. So now only the original cowherd boys and the calves remained. And Krishna continued happily with his picnic, enjoying food, putting it in somebody else's mouth, some other cowherd boy putting some food in his mouth. And in this way, Krishna continued to enjoy his pastimes. What an extraordinary pastimes. When great demigods like Indra and Brahma are not exempt from this principle of forgetfulness. Since Lord Krishna exercised his internal illusory potency over his cowherd boy friends and calves, it is not at all astonishing that for 1 year they could not remember their position. Indeed, by the Lord's external potency, the conditioned souls forget their existence not only for 1 year, but for billions and billions of years, like all of us. Now, fortunately, somehow or the other, we have got connected to this Krishna consciousness movement of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we have an opportunity to revive our original condition. So, then Krishna wound up this pastime. He said, now we have finished our lunch and the cows have eaten and drunk to their full satisfaction. So let us all now go back to Vraja. So all of them started walking back as they would do every day. Nothing had changed. For the cowherd boys and calves, it was all the same as if they had been doing it earlier. And as they entered the village, in great eagerness, as usual, the boys rushed home and told their family members and others, today Krishna killed a big snake, he killed a big snake. That was Aghasura. And then they described in detail all that they had seen. And the residents of Vrindavan were struck with wonder, once again to see these miraculous pastimes of this little boy whom they did not understand was a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the answer to the question of King Parikshit. Why is it, or how is it, that a pastime that happened when Krishna was 5 years old became revealed when he was about 6 years old, that is 1 year later? And with this concludes the Brahma Vimohana Lila. So please do read both these chapters, including the prayers. They are very, very instructive. And you will also Brahma Vimohana Lila ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. So if you have any questions, we can discuss them now. Pertaining to our discussion yesterday and today, please do not ask questions of a general nature in Krishna consciousness that do not pertain to our current discussion. Okay, yes. Is there any mic that can come here? Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Did the cowherd boys saw Brahma, or they informed about his pastime in their home that some poor head person came?
Say that again.
Did the cowherd boys see Brahma, or what they informed about this pastime at their home? Did they inform at their home about Brahma Brahma like some four head.
The original cowherd boys did not see Brahma, they had no clue. Had they seen Brahma, they would surely have told everybody at home, we saw a big four-headed man there. Hare Krishna. Yes. This mobile phone is a cause of much happiness. Okay? Alright, hold this part. This part you hold, yes.
Krishna talked to this cowherd boys in Braj Bhasha or did he talk in Sanskrit language?
You will find out when you go there.
It is mentioning, he says these words in verses. So that it is Sanskrit, but he used to converse in Braj Bhasha.
Shukadev Goswami has spoken Sanskrit. Braja Bhasha also, Krishna knows all languages. Yes.
So, Madam is one happy with the body of Akasura because they think that the original Gopas, they just think that Kalida, they but it is 1 year after they spoke that pastimes. And after they spoke Brahma Lila, so the other cowherd boys or the cowherd males, they are coming.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, so the question is that how come the body of Akasura was not seen by everybody else for 1 whole year? Just like the residents of Vrindavan did not see the cowherd boys and the cows, also see the body of Aghasura. So they did not understand that such a pastime had happened, and that got revealed only after 1 year.
With regard to the other cowherd gopis having the experience of Krishna on the land serving and fasting. On the contrary, we also see Balarama's sister having the same land Krishna as a child and having an experience. So, what is the difference in these two aspects? Both of them have the same misfortune. What should be the detail in this understanding of both of them?
One are the Brajabasi gopis and the cows who had Krishna as their son, and the first one was?
Putana.
Huh? Putana. Putana. Okay, so what is the difference between Putana, who fed milk to Krishna on one hand, and the others, like the cows and the goats? The difference is very clear. The difference is love. Putana did not feed milk to Krishna out of love, but she did it out of a desire to kill him. Of course, it was not possible to kill Krishna, and on the contrary, she was killed. But because she had the desire to be a mother of Krishna, so she got the destination or the place of a dhatri or a nurse in a section of Goloka Vrindavan. So her negative emotions were taken away when Krishna killed her. So she got the reaction for that. But because she had a maternal instinct of wanting to feed, because she was Ratnamala, the sister of Bali Maharaj in the previous birth, where initially she felt this Vamana Dev, oh, he's like a cute boy. I wish I could feed him milk. But when she saw the Virat Roop, then it turned into disgust. But she had that feeling. So she was given an opportunity. But when she came as a demoness, she did not have any love for Krishna. On the other hand, the residents of Vrindavan, the gopis and the cows, Their hearts were full of unparalleled love for Krishna. So, if Putana got such a destination, you can imagine what is the destination received by these cows and the cowherd boys who treated Krishna as their son for 1 year with total devotion. Okay? Yes?
Two questions. Comes was sending demons and devotees practically every day to entertain Krishna. And in this 1 year period, there is no other demon or devotees coming. So is it, do we understand it that Krishna was indirectly controlling when he will come to entertain?
So the question is that generally demons were coming every day. And what happened during this 1 year? Did the demons not come? The answer is yes, it is true. Prabhupada explains in one place that every day demons would come. And I think it is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur who says before lunch at least 1 or 2 were killed by Krishna like appetizers so he could eat his lunch nicely. So the demons used to come. So the demons mentioned by Shukadev Goswami in the Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore we can. So there must have been many other demons. But Shukadev Goswami realized he had only 7 days to tell Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And already several days had elapsed discussing the first 9 cantos. So he didn't have much time left. So he spoke of only certain important demons who had come. So demons were coming, and even in this 1 year, demons may have come and Krishna may have killed demons. The only difference is that the other cowherd boys and the cows, they were Krishna himself. That's the only difference.
And the second question is apart from being Brahma Mohan Lila, was in a sense
Apart from being
Brahma Mohan Lila, was also in a sense Balaram Mohan Lila. Even Balaramji got to the word.
Yes.
But there is no record of Balaramji saying any dialogue between Krishna and Brahma on this.
Yes, there is a dialogue here where Balaram approaches Krishna and says, "O Lord of the universes, what is this mysterious phenomenon that I am seeing that is bewildering even me?" So that is the dialogue, is that particular verse spoken by Balaram to Krishna. I mentioned that in the course of the talk. So Balaram, after analysis, he understands that the answer to this is that Krishna has expanded himself. So he goes and approaches Krishna to confirm, to validate his process. And my dear brother, what you're thinking is true. So Brahma also participates in Krishna's Lila, himself also forgets. So otherwise, how can he play the role of a cowherd boy? As we discussed earlier, he was actually afraid when Mother Yashoda was chasing him and then she bound him to the grinding mortar. So at that time, he didn't remember that he's God. Because such forgetfulness is necessary to make him and the devotees relish that deeply and sweetly. So therefore the Lila Shakti of the Lord, Krishna submits to forgetfulness from the Lila Shakti of the Lord so that his pastimes become sweeter, and similarly with Balaram. And it so happened that Balaram didn't come on both days, because both happened to be his birthday. So he did not know what had happened, that Brahma had stolen the calves and all that. And neither did he see what happened on that day when Brahma came and got bewildered. He only understood what has happened 5 or 6 days before, when he concluded that this is Krishna's expansion. So yes, Brahma Mohana Lila, or Balarama Mohana Lila, yes. But all of Krishna's pastimes are Krishna Mohana Lila also. And in fact, therefore, even though Krishna is Madana Mohana, he bewilders Cupid, But Srimati Radharani is Madan Mohana Mohani. So she bewilders Krishna. So Krishna is not free from bewilderment either. So the taste of devotional service, the rasas are supreme. And Krishna himself likes to subject himself to that bewilderment so that the rasa is nourished.
Maharaj, in this, you mentioned that when Brahma is praising, when he is doing stuti of Krishna at the end of the pastime, it is full of philosophical and devotional insights. But Krishna does not really appreciate it at the time in the Lila. So then how do we understand it? That
But for a brief period, he engages. Megha gambhiraya vacha, in a voice like the rumbling of clouds, he speaks to Indra and tells him, Indra, you should not have done this. Back and remain humble and serve my orders nicely. So in that brief time, Krishna acts as the Lord. Who is this man here? So in the same way with Brahma also. A little curd rice, fruit, here, there. Where are my cows? Where are my cows? He's only 5 years old at the time of this Lila, or 6 years old when Brahma appeared. And looking here and there, then Brahma comes and he offers prayers. Then of course he listens, partly as he exhibits his Godhead to understand, but also he's just thinking, who is this man offering prayers to me? What are 4 heads, golden complexion, offering full dandavat pranam to me? He's saying so many philosophical things. I don't even understand what he's saying. But of course he understands. But at the same time, he's playing the role of that cowherd boy. He's absorbed in that. So Brahma gets the benefit of it. And then by his silent assent, Brahma understands it's time to go now. So Krishna gives him permission and Brahma leaves. So definitely prayers like Brahma's prayers and any other prayers that we offer should be following in the footsteps of Brahma, these kind of prayers that will have philosophical blunders in the prayers that we have. And secondly, they should be with devotion and faith. And they should not be asking for something material. So certainly we can follow in the footsteps and pray like that. Okay? Any other questions? Yes.
Initially when Brahma Krishna went looking for the cows and then he could not find them. And when Krishna came back, he could not find the boys again. So why could
Krishna Mohana Lila. Krishna also, where are my cows? Where are they? Where are my friends? Where are cows? I can't see my cows. I can't see my friends. At the same time, he understood also, as Shukadev Goswami says, yes, Sarvam Vidhikritam. This whole thing has been orchestrated by Vidhi or Brahma. So these things were parallelly going on.
at the same time towards the end you have mentioned that the boys were there at the same spot. But Krishna initially could not find them in the same spot.
Now he found it. After 1 year was over, he saw them in the same spot. But for 1 year, he also could not see them in that one spot. Although he is Vishwadrik, he can see everything in the universe, he understands everything. But still for 1 year, his Lila Shakti even covered him. So he also did not see. Okay?
And at the end, Krishna manifests the whole Vishnu form. Is it because Brahma appreciates the 400 form more than 200 form? Just to show that.
Yes, and also to demonstrate that he is the Supreme Lord. Because Brahma had that doubt, is this really Hari? Va Vrajagopa Balakaihi. Is he just a Vrajagopa Bala? Or is he Harihi Yadi Syat? If he's really Hari, so is he Hari or not Hari? So, in order to dispel any doubts that Brahma may have had, he wanted to make it clear that he is the origin of all the Vishnus, that he is himself directly God. And because Brahma's experience is largely with the four-handed form of Vishnu, the Purusha Sukta prayers, and such prayers addressed by the demigods, they relate to Vishnu. So now Brahma understood that this little cowherd boy is the origin of all these Vishnu forms. Okay. Sariya? Yes. Hare Krishna.
When you give our forms from the spiritual world to the...
Can you keep a little away? Yeah.
When you give our forms from the spiritual world to the material world, he first offered the post of Brahma. Is it true?
Well, maybe not. So, it is not necessary, but it may happen in some cases. Any other questions? Two? I didn't understand. First point, what was it? Please come here and tell me. What?
Yesterday and today also you mentioned 2 points, listen carefully. To all of us. If you are sleeping, just wake up, just listen these 2 points. And 2 points, one is still, another one, I don't know.
Okay, so the question is, I said there are 2 points. Please listen carefully and wake up if anybody is sleeping. Yes? So what were those 2 points for those of you who were awake? Please, somebody can say. Who will say? Yes. With the
So one point was that...
Don't cover the mic like that. Yeah, like this.
So one point was like Rama would never touch Mother Sita. He touched the Maya Sita. Similarly, Brahma would never touch the Bhagavad.
And therefore, the second point was that the boys who were calves also were not the originals. They were illusory forms. Okay? These were the 2 points. Yes, any other question? Yes, on this side.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Whole 1 year, Krishna was there with all the verses. Okay, they have this over-expression of joy. Now, when after 1 year, their own children come back, how do they feel? They feel any difference or the same feelings or never?
Oh, definitely they feel the difference. Now suddenly what happened? My love for my child is reduced. And what I used to feel for last 1 year, it didn't happen. So, the reason for their increased love for their own children is that Krishna had become their child. Now that the cowherd boys were back, they still loved their children, of course, but not as much as they did for the last 1 year. Because as I mentioned, Shukadev Goswami says that in Vrindavan, the gopis loved Krishna more than they loved their own children. Okay? Any other question? Yes, over there. So relevant to our discussion for yesterday and today.
Thanks for the introduction. First one question is that you said Lila Sakti. Normally when we talk about Krishna Sakti, Lila Sakti, internal, external, marginal difference. So but Lila Sakti gives pleasure to Krishna. But now when it is covering, we say it is actually Maya. But when we say Maya, in material world it gives suffering actually. We want to come out of Maya. So if it gives pleasure to Krishna, it has to be Radharani's Sakti. So this Lila Sakti should be Radharani's mercy or Lila Sakti where it comes to.
Okay, what exactly is this Lila Shakti and how does it compare to the Maya that is found in this world? Yes? So you see, originally, Krishna has innumerable energies. But actually, you can say that Krishna has only one energy. That one energy is all powerful. And that one energy can perform multiple functions. And according to the functions that these Shaktis the Shakti performs at different times, those Shaktis are named differently. They operate differently and therefore they are named differently. So that form of Yoga Maya, so originally it's all Maya or Yoga Maya. So when that Yoga Maya operates within this world, she is called Mahamaya and she has a different effect. Here the Yoga Maya is for the devotees of Krishna. Mahamaya is meant for the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are put into forgetfulness of Krishna by Mahamaya. So Yoga Maya acts in a particular way for conditioned living entities when she is called Mahamaya, and then she is called Yoga Maya when she acts in the spiritual realm. So even that Yoga Maya, according to her functions in the spiritual world, she may be named differently. So Lila Shakti or any other Shakti operating in the spiritual world is ultimately also a manifestation of Yoga Maya. Okay? They are just called differently according to the purpose for which these Shaktis are employed. Yeah.
So since Brahma is our Acharya and he is the first person, intelligent person in the universe, does this Lila minimize his position or glorify his position?
Good question. Because Brahma is our Acharya, does this Brahma Vimohana Lila minimize his position or does it glorify his position? Very interesting question. You can understand it as a devotee that it actually glorifies his position because he becomes an instrument of ordinary pastime of the Lord. As I mentioned earlier, Brahma has had many days before this one. He is in his 51st year now, the first day of the 51st year. So 50 years he has lived, and each of his days has 360 days. And in each one of those days, Krishna has come and performed Vrindavan pastimes one time. So surely this kind of pastime must have been performed earlier. So he's aware of who is Krishna, right? So how does he forget after having seen it for 50 times, 360 times earlier? Not possible. So obviously there is an element here of arrangement by Krishna. So Brahma is also a participant in Krishna's pastime to reveal some wonderful things about Krishna's qualities and his pastimes. Okay? So that is one way. So Brahma, he at another level we can understand also Brahma wanted to see Krishna exhibit his potencies and opulences, and he wanted everybody else to also see. So in this way we understand Brahma has been used as an instrument by Krishna to manifest this most wondrous pastime. On the other hand, the lesson to learn also, because Prabhupada says that Brahma is born from a lotus which is material, and therefore he is also subject to forgetfulness. And sometimes there may be a little misunderstanding or confusion where Brahma wants to exhibit his own potency and gets bewildered. So there is that learning lesson also from this particular pastime. Okay? So overall though, we should see that Brahma's position is not minimized, and we should not think of Brahmaji in a disparaging way, in a negative way, because he's after all such an exalted personality, and he's the founder of our sampradaya. Okay? But remember, all Brahmas are not necessarily great devotees in the different universes. Some Brahmas may be non-devotees, some may be yogis, some may be jnanis, some may be whatever. Our Brahma, four-headed Brahma, is the founder of our Brahma Sampradaya, so he is a great devotee. But even he, at that time, that knowledge of Vrindavan was hidden from him. It had to be again revealed through this pastime. Okay? All right. Yes.
Yesterday, Vishnu Brahmaji's first initiative devotee, also he is a very wise person. But we see Brahmaji sometimes get bewildered, and you mentioned Brahma went to the class, says to Brahmaji, because you hear very attentively. And so, one secret is that this one also because our parampara, like Gaudiya Vishnu parampara, so because that time Brahma, Srila Prabhupada easily given that philosophy and Vrindavan notes in our books. So we easily understand, if we even focus, we understand that these things and Vrindavan notes. So this is also secrets is that if we following that parampara and if we following our present acharyas, so they also glorify our present acharyas position. This also secret is there.
I didn't follow the last part of our previous acharyas. They have explained all these teachings, and therefore
so Brahmaji also want to glorify our Guru Parampara.
yes.
So lineage that Guru Parampara is there, step by step going on. They are more higher. Like Srila Prabhupada, philosophy and Vrindavan easily.
So are you saying that, is your question that our acharyas, are they higher than Brahma? Is that your question?
Because they following Brahma.
No, they're not higher than Brahma. They are descendants of Brahma spiritually. So Brahma is our founder acharya of the whole sampradaya. Yes? So therefore we must have the due respect for him. It is just that down the Guru Shishya Parampara, these subtle truths, esoteric truths, confidential truths may be revealed in different ways at different times by the different acharyas. Okay? So every acharya in the parampara has his own unique contribution and situation, and specifically we are following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that has made a lot of difference also in the way we understand this.
Higher than this is because we hear now in spiritual world there is different way. Rasa is a more higher position. So they reveal more higher things. So higher than this way.
I didn't quite understand. Can you come here and just, the sound system somehow it doesn't come to me directly. Yeah.
Higher in the sense, Maharaj, ki, jo
What?
Guru
परंपरा में हम नीचे आ रहे हैं ना, जितने ज़्यादा हम नीचे आते हैं, क्योंकि स्पिरिचुअल लेवल में तो उल्टा है ना, कि जो दास हैं वो ज़्यादा हायर पोजीशन पे, सो इन द सेंस दिस सेंस मीन्स हायर.
So what is the question exactly?
एक्चुअली क्वेश्चन में अगर हम गुरु परंपरा फॉलो कर रहे हैं तो और ज़्यादा वो हायर होती जा रही है, मतलब जो फिलोसफिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है और भक्ति का जो तत्व है वो इजी होता जा रहा है इन कलयुग.
Okay. So the question he's asking is that as the parampara moves on and more truths are explained bit by bit, so it becomes easier and easier for us to understand these subtle truths of devotional life, because we don't have to go through the kind of austerities that Brahma had to undergo. Neither do we have to do what many of our previous acharyas had to do. Srila Prabhupada has given us these beautiful books with elaborate purports, explanations, and so also the previous acharyas have. And Srila Prabhupada has included many of what the earlier acharyas have said in his purports as well. So yes, we are fortunate that things have been made easy for us by the explanations of the acharyas. Okay, so thank you all very much. We will end here. And thank you for being very attentive. Only few people were sleeping, not many. Still, so that is a good ratio. It was an acceptable ratio today. Okay. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
So, Mujali Maharaj, out of compassion, by the request of devotees,